So an issue I did actually know about already, but the tank is leaking. It's starting to bubble up through the paint, just on this back edge. So while I'm doing everything else, I've basically been trying to ignore it for the last year. But now the bike's off the road anyway. I'll see if I can't sort that out. I mean, the tank again is as it came back from the States, and it's full of fuel at the moment. But it has obviously had a lining, epoxy lining or whatever it was, in the past, and it looked really clean when I got it back. But evidently, whatever the coating was put in for has probably reappeared again, and certainly includes a leak back here. So I'm going to take the Petrol out, let it dry out properly, take the taps off obviously, and get some stuff to put in it. Right, I've got the fuel out now, and it's actually a lot worse than I thought it was. I mean, underneath here, all this is gone, and right down to here. So obviously this seam, I guess, is leaking. So it's a lot worse than just this little patch up here that I could see from earlier. Again, perfect advert for the Nipex plier wrench. I mean, it's smooth jaws, doesn't damage the chrome, but it fits this perfectly. And so get the body of the valve out too. I thought it's worth having a go with the old Lidl Endoscope, which I haven't used that often. I've had it since 2020, well, February 2020. So it's 5 years, over 5 years now. See if I can remember how it works. So there we go. So it's got the light on it. The only trouble with this Endoscope is that the end doesn't turn. So it actually, and it's quite long as well. So it doesn't work well inside a cylinder, for instance. If you poke it through the spark plug tube, it's pretty hopeless. But hopefully in here it should be a bit better. So let's give it a go. Interesting there, look, there's sort of bubbles possibly underneath the material that's been used to line it in the past. Bit of a gap there in the coverage. Right, I've decided to go for this stuff, Tankio, which is Dutch by the looks of it. There's various YouTube videos on how to use it, but it's epoxy, 2-part, and the kit I bought comes with these two, cleaner and rust remover. Let's use the cleaner first, apparently, and then the rust remover, even if there is no rust. And there isn't a lot in my case, but there probably is in the. Just notice that that's correct. Presumably it's sealed inside. Anyway, so yeah, I'm supposed to use that anyway. So that's the plan. I've also worked out that these threads are 1/2-inch UNF, which is lucky because I've got a 1/2-inch UNF tap, which I've just run down those threads. And they seem fine. I've had to buy some bolts, so these do fit. So I'm going to use these to blank off the outlets while I use the tank sealer. So I'm going to cut these short so that they don't protrude, they sit flush with the inside of the tank. Okay, so I've shortened these, and we're going to put some petroleum jelly on. So just hopefully to stop the epoxy from leaking down the threads. So these are 500 ml, and that's the recommended dose for the average tank. This one's probably slightly smaller than most, but it says on here that it removes petrol residue, which makes sense, and pour it in, leave it inside for several hours, quote. So I'll stick it in and see what happens. This cleaner smells of T-pol, the sort of industrial surfactant. I wouldn't be so surprised if that isn't what it is. Right, so that's been in there for half a day, being sloshed about occasionally. Just tipped it back out, and it's, apart from me spilling it as it foamed over, it's pretty much all come back out. I noticed on the video, the Tankio video, they save these liquids, so I thought I might as well do the same. I mean, it's pretty clean, no obvious dirt that's come out. So I'm onto the rust remover now. So it says use it anyway, and then it has an etching property. So my tank's already covered in some kind of tank lining material, so there's actually very little steel exposed. So I'm not suppose it's going to do much etching, but I'll put it in anyway. It says just shake it around till the rust is gone. I guess the important thing for me is that it makes its way down to this seam where it's definitely leaking, gets into that seam, and that will have some rust in it, I'm sure. So yeah, it also says put in some chipboard screws, which I haven't got, but I do have these. Actually, maybe these are chipboard screws. Anyway, they'll do. The downside is they're stainless steel, so they're not going to come out with a magnet. Doesn't smell of much. I'm not sure what's actually in it. Be phosphoric acid, I guess, or something similar. Danger, causes skin burns and eye damage. Seek medical attention. Yeah, I'll try not to get it on my hands. Okay, so that's inside. I've got the some plastic under the cap this time to keep it out of the vent. Right. Give it a go. Seems to be all the screws out. At least one of them went into the bottle, but that's okay. I can get that out later. And it has all come back out again, which is good. Right, so give this a really good rinse, and then leave it to dry, I think, for well, at least 2 days. And make sure it's perfectly dry. What I'm worried about in particular is that if there is a crack in the seam, as I think there must be, I want that crack to be dry as well, so that's going to take a while. Right, so I've used the cleaner and the rust remover exactly as the instructions say. It's all drained out. I've dried it out. It's been 3 days now, and I've used this air gun to just blow air into the tank. Been through 3 batteries worth, which is probably about 6 hours, maybe more, just passing air into the tank just to flush out any fumes and the water vapour. And I'm sure it's been quite warm the last few days. Pretty sure that's completely dry. So next step, final step, is the epoxy itself, which says it should be mixed together, tipped in, and will take about 30 minutes to go off. And it says 20 degrees C minimum, and it is actually, would you believe, 21.7 degrees in here now. So hopefully this will be fine. Anyway, so 2 parts. There's a little instructions: minimum 20 degrees C, 15 minutes. 30 minutes at 20, 15 minutes at 30 degrees C. I've got a disposable, not cocktail stick, a chopstick. So let's tip this in here. So I've got half an hour. So Need to keep an eye on the time. It's now 18 minutes past 8. It does say stir rather than mix, so you don't want to aerate it. But on the other hand, it needs to be thoroughly mixed, I would say. Okay, that's 2 full minutes. So let's give this a go. That's going to be fun. Right, there's a bit in there, so I can see whether it's cured later. Bit of polythene to stop the epoxy getting into the cap. Right, so just need to keep this turning, coat the entire surface inside for 20 minutes, half an hour. Goes up to 32 minutes now, and I don't know, I can imagine it might be getting a bit thicker, but it's certainly not hard. And it is 22 degrees now in here, so it should be starting to set by now. Right, so I'm up to 40 minutes, so temperature's 22 degrees. This is still really runny in here, you can see that. So I'm going to use some heat. Got a fan heater, just going to start warming the tank. Okay, so it's now 50 minutes and 22.6 degrees, and this is still just as liquid as it was when I started, so this is seriously worrying now. It's also 10 past 9 in the evening. I can't afford to stay here all night, so I'm not really sure what to do, whether just to leave it to drain into the bottom or try and keep rolling it around. Definitely hasn't gone the way I was expecting or hoping. I was hoping after twisting it around for half an hour it would have firmed up and stay in place, but obviously not. It's actually quite warm now. I was using this fan heater, so it's well above 22 degrees, but it's still not setting. Oh dear. I think I've got to leave it. I need to. Got other things to do tonight. So there is a date on here, and it's 24 30 09 07 32. So presumably that's 2020 30th of September. Sorry, 2024 30th of September. So it'll be about a year ago. So I would have thought that would be okay. But so it's still really running. Okay, so we're an hour and 10 minutes now, and it's just starting to thicken up. And it's still fluid, but it definitely feels thicker. And it's holding a blob on the end of the stick. So yeah, it's about twice as long as I was expecting, and the instructions suggested. But yeah, I mean, it is still moving around in the tank, but it's getting much slower, much thicker consistency. Right, an hour and 20 minutes now, and it's still quite fluid, definitely a lot thicker, and it's not pouring so easily, but this has taken a lot longer. It's like at least twice, probably 3 or 4 times the time they said on the instructions. Right, so it's the following morning, and sure enough, this has set now finally, or at least still a bit soft. So it's not 100% cured, I don't think. And then it does say to leave it for 7 days before using fuel in it. But looking in there, it does look okay to me. I think it's pretty well covered. There's more in the base than I would have liked, just lying in the bottom. Hopefully that won't cause issues. Right, so it's been 10 days now, and yeah, this is rock hard, sort of glassy. It's a bit of a shame, really. Well, it'd be better, I think, if it was slightly resilient because of sort of differential expansion, that sort of thing. It's going to crack, perhaps. Anyway, they took a lot longer to set than they said on the instructions, but yeah, this is now looking okay in there. It's thicker on the bottom than I would have liked. I didn't have time to keep it turning until it was starting to set because it took well over half an hour. It was into the like 5 hours really. There's no way I could keep spinning it around for that long. Anyway, I will hope for the best and take these plugs out. See how tightly these are stuck in by the epoxy. Oh, not too bad. Interesting, there's no epoxy at all on that. Although, yeah, fair enough. I've cut these off short, obviously, and they're actually below the level of the base of the tank, internal base of the tank. So I think that's just snapped off the epoxy resin underneath the layer that's inside the tank. So that's okay. I can drill through and tap the thread back in place. Yeah, I think that one's done the same. Yeah, so the epoxy has just broken off that surface, and this is rigid. Yeah, so that's good. So these are the tabs that I took out. I did replace them. The replica ones, they're not originals. They have the sort of rubbery seal rather than the original ceramic on ceramic seal that amazingly enough, the early ones did. Anyway, that's the one with the spout. So this one without the spout is the reserve. So yeah, a bit of thread sealant. I'll stick it back in. So both tabs in. Stick it back on the bike and see if it works. Good. So the tank's been back on the bike now for several days, coming up for a week, and there's no sign of any leaks at all. So that's all good news. Yeah, I may. Well, a few learning points, I suppose. One is that the curing time of the epoxy is way longer than the instructions suggest. So it took sort of 5 hours for it to start to thicken up rather than the half an hour that it seems to suggest in the instructions. And also, I think I've probably got too much of the epoxy in the bottom of the tank. I should probably have drained it out before letting it set fully, but we'll see. Hopefully it's okay. So yeah, I'll clean up the tank again. I say maybe think about repainting it completely before too long. But meanwhile, bike's working again. It's not leaking petrol, so that's all good. Thanks for watching.